Okay.
Are we sure we did that right? Because in my experience, we take like an hour on the minutes. Just making sure.
You are no longer on the central committee, so.
Are we sure this was done correctly?
Yes, yes. Okay, so next up would be our voting list. And I think a few just got the public facilities bond. We have Mike Fowler here. Justin, should we open up for questions, or do we need Mike to address us, or do we just move forward with the public facilities bond?
Mike, can you just give us the final number real fast?
Yes, it's had it right in front of me here a moment ago. 65,600,000.
Okay, and have they sent us a copy of a listing of the projects?
Correct.
We
Yes,
will be
that was
asked
in-
that. We will be asked that in committee sometimes.
I have all that.
We have.
Yeah, that
good.
was a letter that Ted gave to you all at your public hearing.
As a side note, I think the live stream started right after we approved the minutes, just for the record for everybody that's on and anybody that watches this now or later. So the only thing that was missed was approval of last meeting's minutes. So anyway, thank you, Mike.
Okay, so do we have a motion for approval of the public facilities bonds for 65.6 million, our annual bond bill for Carroll County? Chris, thank you. Senator West? And do we have a second? Delegate Boucher? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Any
All right.
opposed?
Any opposed? Okay, the next bill is the modification of seating requirements for the Liquor Bureau in Carroll County in Class B, BR, and C. We had our briefing at the last delegation meeting. Everyone should have a copy of that bill. Any questions? All right, do we have a motion to move forward and vote favorable on that bill? Thanks, Chris. Delegate Tomlinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Reedy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great.
Aye.
Okay, the next bill is the Carroll County Alcoholic Beverages Multiple Event Entertainment License, which we have now amended. Any questions on that amendment? Everyone should have that.
I just want to say thanks, Senator Reedy and Delegate Rose, for your work to clarify some of those questions I had and making those amendments. So thank you both.
Wonderful.
Just for public record, just so it's clear, because it's different than how it was presented obviously at the delegation hearing. We're simply establishing a new license for any venue that wants to do more than 40 events a year. And that's right now, it's just the Carroll Arts Center is the only venue in the county, although some others could come online, but it's that we're establishing a new license for that class. There was no license for that previously. There were some other suggested ideas that we've decided to at least table for right now. That's the only thing left in the bill.
Great. Any other questions or concerns? Is there a motion to accept and move forward?
So moved.
Great. I think we have
Senator West,
Senator
second.
West. Yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Okay, the next bill that we have, we don't have back from bill drafting as of yet. It came in a little bit later. It's the alcoholic beverages residency requirement. It will change the requirement to live in the county to own a liquor store, to live in Maryland. And this is something which, Justin, correct me if I'm incorrect. According to Pete Samios, they have already made that change within the liquor board itself. And they just want to have this this law on the books that would match what they've already moved forward with doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, the request was actually at our delegation hearing, and then Pete Samios is actually the head of the Carroll County Licensed Beverage Association, but he works closely, obviously, with the liquor board. The liquor board had made a decision recently there for a long time, you had to be a Carroll County resident. One of your owners had to be at least a Carroll County resident to get a liquor license in the county. The liquor board has made the change in their regulations to say you have to be just a Maryland resident, but technically under state law, that's this, you would want to change state law. So, there's a couple schools of thought as to whether that's a good idea or not. I didn't necessarily have an issue with it personally, but we told them we'd bring it before the delegation for discussion. So I don't know. I know there maybe has been some talk with different members. I don't know if anybody else has comments or thoughts about it, but this would simply codify that in law to say, yes, you have to be a Maryland resident rather than just a Carroll County resident. But I'm happy to open it up I'm somewhat agnostic about it, other than we want to have it conform to state law. So I'm happy to open it up for discussion.
Delegate Tomlinson.
Yeah, I had some concerns about this one. I kind of like how it had been where you had to be a Carroll County resident, but I did talk to Pete Samios, like the senator said, from the Beverage Association, and he confirmed that, or he told me that there was a recent, or I don't know if it was recent, but a Supreme Court decision, I think it might have been like Tennessee, somewhere down there, where the same thing had happened. The county was requiring that you had to be a county resident, and anyways, apparently went to the Supreme Court, and we can't really do it anymore. So this is just trying to go along with that before somebody sues in Carroll County over it. So it is what it is.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns? So I know we don't have this in writing yet. Justin, what's the process? Can we still vote on this in concept, or should we wait for the next meeting?
I mean, I think it's okay to say, can we approve this in concept? But if anybody has an issue and rather wait for it to be in writing before we vote, we certainly want courtesy for all our members. I'm personally okay with us moving forward because it's literally it's changing Carroll County to Maryland in the law. Is that, so I think at this point I'd say entertain a motion. Does anybody have a motion that they want to make on this bill?
Motion to move forward.
Conceptually, I'll second the motion.
Great. All in favor?
Aye. We
Okay.
should all say aye, by the way, since people
Aye.
are watching. Yeah,
Aye. Good point.
Anyone opposed?
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you, Senator West.
Maybe
Okay,
next meeting, maybe we'll do a roll call on the different bills, but we'll stick with it for now. Yeah.
Okay, the next bill is the request from the town of Mount Airy for their urban renewal, which they had worked on prior and that we discussed at our last meeting. I believe the mayor was going to be with us today, or is anyone from the mayor's office here? I don't see anyone.
We had emailed them to see if someone could be there to just be on standby if there are any questions. Does anybody have any questions about this issue or?
No. I'm personally fine with it. Everyone has the bill. Does anyone have a concern?
Yeah. So we will again entertain it.
No, I think it's a good idea, because that's one of the things you always hear from. I know I'm new to this, but I mean, I still have heard people's concerns and complaints over the years, but that's one of the things you hear from people who live in the municipalities a lot is, well, why can't the town do something about this building that's been sitting here vacant for 10 years? And it's like the town goes, well, we can't really do anything about it. So hopefully this helps the towns be able to do something about it.
And I think Mayor Hushhour explained it well when he's talked to us both personally and at the meeting, that it can be used as more of a cudgel to get the building owner to act as opposed to actually going through with it. But it does allow for authority, and about 62 other towns in Maryland have this authority. So it's not breaking any new ground. So again, we entertain, and since Delegate Rose and I are kind of co-chairing the meeting, we always we'd want somebody else to make the motion, but we'd entertain a motion at this time.
I will motion we support the Mount Airy Urban Renewal Authority.
Great. Do we have a second? or I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you all. Okay, the last bill would be for Katie Berry from the Board of Elections came to us and explained her request for some cleanup from all of the redistricting so that they could combine some precincts that some had only a few voters, very few. I think a couple of them maybe had 1 or 2 voters. And so we don't have that back yet from bill drafting. We were going back and forth with them yesterday. They really just needed some clarification. And Katie and I and bill drafting are working together to come up with the final written bill. Does anyone have any major concerns about her request? What we need to do for the cleanup to help out the Board of Elections at all? So similar to the other liquor bill, if we could approve this in concept so that once they can get that written bill over to us, which of course we'll share with you, we can get it dropped right away so we can get our, hearing date and keep things moving. But I'm certainly happy if you want to wait.
And I believe, I think Delegate Boucher wants to say something. I think everybody got the chart that explained who would get moved. Not by name, but how many people would be moved. It does impact, more than a dozen people, but less than, 700 people. It's probably 200-300 people would be impacted overall, just shuffling back and forth. People, not necessarily voters, but residents. So I'm sorry, go ahead. Delegate Boucher, you had
Thank you. I was just concerned about the technicality of it in relation to the national elections and all that. This is a very technical issue, and I think that's all getting worked out. We're going to be in compliance. I just want to give praise to Director Berry for taking initiative to do this. Her job is so complex, and I don't know how she sleeps at night during the election season. And the fact that she came out of the last election cycle after the redistricting process pulled it off so well. And then at the same time, simultaneously, was to go through and analyze the difficulties and the glitches and be able to address them. I want to praise her for taking the initiative to do this, and I'm wholeheartedly in support of this measure.
Thank you. Yes, she does such a great job, and having to handle redistricting at 3 levels with the timeline that we had. I'm just so grateful every day that she hasn't quit. So thank you, Katie. I know she's not on here today, but we appreciate her very much. And, so that being said, so do we have a motion to move forward in concept, just like the other bill with moving forward?
I will motion to move forward with it.
And Senator West, I see seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Well, that's all we have for our voting list today. We now are open to any new business. I think before Justin got here, we discussed, we had a request from Catholic Charities to come out and address one of our upcoming delegation meetings. It's their 100th anniversary, and they just wanted to give us a briefing and any resources they can provide in our area. So everyone seem to be okay with doing that. If you're okay with that, Senator Reedy.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Sure. I think we may have 1 or 2 other legislative issues to discuss in a future meeting. So
Sure.
Possibly one other bill we may need to talk about. And then we also may want to do some, there might be a couple of issues related to the budget. So yeah, we probably should. So we'll need to probably plan another week. So that would be great to have them come out and address, in my opinion. That's
Okay.
fine with me.
Well, we'll extend the invitation. Once we decide when we're going to have our next meeting, we'll extend that invitation to them to join us, and we'll go from there. And if we get any other requests, I'll just send them via email to everyone, and we can, decide on the agenda that way as well. I think unless anyone else has anything for the good of the order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.